Can other people drive a car that I booked? Yes. Welcome back to the Believe in Yourself Network, where we're starting another series for you guys, and this series is going to be a great one. It's called TURO's FAQs, Frequently Asked Questions. So I'll pull these frequently asked questions right from the TURO site. So all those frequently asked questions that other people have out there, I'm going to bring them to you with the answers, and I'm going to give a little commentary about how I feel about it, my feedback on those questions as well. So tune in, man. Like, comment, definitely subscribe, and let me know what you guys want to see next. Peace. Welcome back to the series, man. I got enough FAQ for you, frequently asked question. And this one, once again, is coming from the TURO platform. Can other people drive a car that I booked? Yes. Multiple guests can drive the car that you booked on TURO, as long as they are all approved to drive. The primary driver, whoever booked the car, can add additional drivers with no fees or additional charges. Only the primary driver can request to add drivers. TURO hosts cannot, I repeat, cannot do it for you. We encourage you to request an additional drivers before your trip starts. Though guests in the US and Canada can request to add a driver while a trip is in progress. To speed up the process, have your additional driver create a TURO account and get approved to drive before you request to add them. All drivers must have a valid driver's license and meet the age requirement for the car you've booked. You can request to add drivers via the Trips tab in the TURO app without additional drivers, charges, or extra costs. So basically that's the answer, man. You can add additional drivers to any trip that you want, as long as they are already approved to drive on TURO. Now, I've had a situation, well, not particularly me, one of the people who I do mentor, they had a particular situation wherein their vehicle that they rented, the parents gave it to their child, son or daughter, I'm not sure which one it was, but for prom. And they trashed the car, man. I mean, they smoked in it. One of the side rear mirrors was damaged. There was scratches. It was just a whole bunch of problems. And damn near totaled almost $10,000 in damages when he got the quote from the dealership, which is crazy. You know, when you have something like that happen, man, it's very upsetting, because don't quote me on this, I'm not 100% sure, I'll ask my friend, but I don't think they added them as an additional driver. They just rented the car and gave it to their kids to drive for their prom. Now, he was able to still get the claim done because the people, they had their insurance and things like that. He had to go through TURO and things like that. But in reality, you never want to have that happen. You know, I've had situations where people have asked me to add additional drivers. And the thing with this is, you must understand, a lot of times when you're adding additional drivers or you're doing this or doing that, if you're not going to be the person to pick up the vehicle, don't be the person to book the vehicle. Because I've had situations where in the past I have allowed the secondary driver to pick up the vehicle because the main driver booked the vehicle. Now, I've allowed that because they communicated with me, weeks before the trip. They already had the book, and I was being greedy. I don't want to lose the booking. But in hindsight, that's not really what you want to do, because the person that's liable for the vehicle and that you're supposed to give the vehicle to, especially because I do remote handoffs, or even if you hand it off in person, TURO's going to realize you did not hand it off to the person that booked the vehicle. So when those things happen, you're crossing your fingers, hoping like, hey, I hope nothing happens to the vehicle, because technically this other person is also in charge, but they're not the person who picked up the vehicle. And I'm not 100% sure on if there's an incident, and because you gave the vehicle to the secondary driver, not the primary driver, how that would go about being resolved. I have a feeling Turo probably still would honor the request, but like I said, I've never been through that situation, and I really don't. That's a gray area. I don't really know how that would go. But if you are a guest and you want to book a car for somebody else, just give them your credit card information. Allow them to book the vehicle, and then give them your credit card information and let them book it. Because for you to add them as an additional driver, they have to become on the Turo platform anyway. So if somebody's saying, well, I don't have the Turo app, can you just book it for me? Is irrelevant. You understand what I'm saying? Because for them to drive the car and to be able to legally drive the car when you give it to them, they have to be added as an additional driver, which makes them liable anyway. So it's almost like, why even get your name and your insurance involved if you're just paying for the car, but you don't want to be responsible for any damages that occur to the car, right? So I just feel like it makes sense, because I've had this happen. In the future, I probably still would, because I want the booking. I'm not going to lie. Turo's been a little bit flaky right now. It's a slow season. So in the slow season, like, you want to get as many bookings in as it can. But maybe when it's a little bit more busy, I probably will say, no, you can't do that. You need to just let them book it, and you can use your credit card. I may explain it like that, give them those options now that I'm thinking about it. But yeah, man, in the future, if you have a vehicle and you want to get it on Turo, not a vehicle, get it on Turo, but if you want to rent a vehicle for someone on Turo and you're not going to be the host guest to pick it up, just allow them to rent it. Because to book the rental under your name and then add them as the guest, and then you have to communicate with the host, hey, I'm not going to pick up the vehicle, this person's going to pick up the vehicle. It's just a whole bunch of running around. Just cut all that out. Turo has it explicitly in their things. All you have to do is be old enough to have a valid driver's license in the U.S. or Canada, and they can book the car themselves. So I'm just talking about a specific instance, obviously, whether or not if you should book a vehicle and all these things and how you should book it if you're not going to be the person picking it up, if you have additional drivers. I'm just talking about things that I have gone through. But going back to the original question, yes, if you're booking a vehicle and you need to add additional drivers, there's no extra cost to it. I know some places, rental car companies sometimes charge you for adding additional drivers, especially if their NVR isn't good. Here at Turo, there's no additional charge for that. You can add as many drivers as you want at no extra cost. So do your thing, man. Enjoy. Love the platform. And I'll call at you guys on the next one. Peace. If you believe you can't make it, you won't make it. If you believe that you can do it, you will do it.